So this episode is brought to you by Talon Services of Great Falls, Montana, for all of your residential and commercial needs. We are urgently hiring for skilled HVAC, plumbing, and electrical journeymen and masters. Email CVAIL, CVAIL, at talonph.com, TALONPH.com for more information. Lead by example. Teach from experience.
So I wanted to touch on that. Because coming from a liberal arts college and looking back on what I did with that college when I graduated, they used to let me come back. I went to Heidelberg University. They used to let me come back and lead by example, teach from experience. Dude, whether I'm out in the field with my guys, swinging a hammer, or whether I'm at Penske and I was living in Chicago and leading a team and I was renting trucks and negotiating rates, like, you have to show people how far you're willing to go. You have to give them an example of like what good and great, and also like what failure looks like, right? And denial and all those things. And then, so you lead by example through that because they see it. And then I'm a big believer in teaching from experience. I look at everything that I teach, or I try to teach, is from because I've done it, and I look at the professors that are at my university now in the business segment, and I literally, I look through, hey, like, they're teaching business administration, and they got their master's and they got their PhD, but they have they ever risked money? Have they ever felt the pressure? Have they ever failed? Have they ever succeeded? Have they ever got that fucking win that just feels so goddamn good, And so I just want to deliver that as like lead by example and teach from experience is so important, I think, across the board, whether you're in corporate, whether you're doing what me and you do in the blue collar trades, even guys that are watching this in corporate, like, dude, if you're going to lead by example and you're going to be some trainer in sales, show them what good sales look like. Right. And then at the end of the day, train them through that. So,
hey, thanks for joining Blue Sky program today. Happy to have you, Dale Perkowski. Out of what part of Ohio are you in?
We're about 35, 40 minutes south of Cleveland, an area called Medina, Ohio.
Medina. Okay.
Yeah, Medina. Yep.
How do you spell that? Because down here outside of San Antonio, we have Medina, and it's Medina.
Yep. Nope. Same way. We get a lot of calls and people say we're in Medina, Ohio. So Medina. Yeah.
So, I've known you for, a couple of years. We've been chit-chatting back and forth. Yep. But truly, for those out here who don't know you, what's your background? Where'd you grow up? How'd you get onto the path that you're currently on?
Yeah. How long do we got? Do you want me to go just make it super quick or what?
We can go as long as you want. I'll interject and dissect, and we'll steer it the right way. So you just start wherever you want.
Yeah. I guess it all culminates, right? So you got to start at the beginning to understand why I do the things I do. I grew up in a small town, Cleveland suburb, Garfield Heights, Ohio, very blue collar family. My mom didn't work. She really took care of us. Dad worked at a factory making like $16 an hour. I have two other sisters. Grew up in a 900 square foot house. So we didn't have air conditioning. We didn't get our first computer until I was going into, 6th, 7th grade. Didn't have cable my entire life. And, it was just one of those things where if we needed something done or we needed something fixed, there was no call a contractor, which is funny because that's what I do now. We just kind of got to figure it out. Maybe Uncle Joe can come by and help us, And so from there, I always took honors classes in high school. I was always a fairly good student. I did football at Garfield, and then my dream was to go play college ball.
We're talking
And
what years in high school roundabout?
yeah, 04 to 08 was high school.
04 to 08. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I got my first cell phone, for people wondering, probably like junior year of high school.
Young buck.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. So take me from there to here. I know it's a
Yeah,
long, winding journey, but you got here somehow.
Dad had a stroke in high school. He was my rock. He took care of us. My parents were split up already at that time. Moved in with my stepdad and mom. Wasn't too happy about that, but it is what it is. Stepdad became an amazing guy that literally picked my dad up from the nursing home, brought him over. So we had this weird bonding between my stepdad and my dad. Very masculine men. I know that's one of those things that people frown upon nowadays, but they built shit and they got shit done. Went to college and studied business and finance, played football at Heidelberg University. From there, I got my first job at Penske Truck Leasing, renting trucks out of a truck location. Crazy thing about that was I didn't even have a job coming out of college. It literally was a part-time job, and they said if somebody gets promoted, then I could have a full-time position on the team if I did the right things. So, I mean, you came from corporate and now you're in the trades and blue collar, and I did that whole circle pretty much with you, right? And
Yep.
dude, I was making, I don't know, I think it was like $9 an hour out of college, $12 an hour.
Yep.
And then when I got full time, they bumped me up to 16, with a college degree. So
yep.
We all started there.
Yep. I remember one time, just to interject, just graduated college. I was working 3 jobs, 7 days a week. Every job paid $8 an hour. And so I had a day off one day it was a weekday. And I decided I'm going to go panhandle just as an experiment to see how much I can make. And I was an anthropology student. And so that was just kind of a curiosity to me. And so I went to a busy intersection in Austin at 183 and Breaker area. Anyone in Austin knows that area. And I stood there with my framed college diploma, University of Texas. I wore my Longhorn orange, my Longhorn hat, and I stood on the corner for 2 hours that day. I made $11 an hour panhandling. I made more money panhandling in those 2 hours than I did per hour at my other jobs.
How long did you do that for, huh?
2 hours. It ended, and this is in the spirit of college football starting tomorrow, but it ended when this guy in a huge like F-350, it was maroon, and it pulls up and he rolls down his window and he squints and looks at my diploma and he goes, "Where's that from?" And I go, "University of Texas." And he goes, "Should have gone to A&M." Anyway,
Ohio State plays Texas tomorrow.
I know very well Ohio State
here in Ohio.
Texas.
So
yeah, who's your
it's
team?
kind of funny that we scheduled this right before the game.
Man, are you OSU?
Yeah, I'm an OSU fan.
It's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be interesting.
Good game to start the season.
And to end the last one.
Yeah, I know.
We'll see what happens. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Man. All right. So here we go. F1 contracting.
Yep.
How'd you get there? I think you went via a pharma route.
Yeah. So a lot of people don't know this. I mean, my friends do, but I was a medical sales rep, pharmaceutical sales for 7.5 years.
Damn.
Yeah. I got in the year after we went public. So you know, you and I have talked about it on one-offs, but I was buying stock at $4 a share. And when I left, it was life-changing money at about 115.
Mm-hmm.
And I always had this passion for building. My grandfather, who passed before I met him, like he passed when my dad was 16. Well, he was the local, when he got back from the Korean War, he was the local like carpenter. He was the DIY guy that fixed it all. And there was a workbench in the basement of my grandma's house. She would babysit me and I would just build shit, you know? And so I always had this passion for building growing up. And I guess that's where it came from. So fast forward, pharmaceuticals is going on. I'm making great money. And you get fulfilled to a point where money really isn't what you're after. You know, so many people chase millions of dollars, and that's okay. Everybody's motivated at something. But I got to a point where I bought kind of what I envisioned in life, a property I can shoot on, I could fish on it, my truck's paid for. And so I was like, you know what? COVID came around. They started pushing the vaccine on people. I pushed back. And here we are, 7.5 years of doing great things for that company. And they said, hey, Dale, we're going to put you on a PIP, a personal improvement plan, because your numbers just aren't what they used to be. So, you know, I scaled my company while I was there, and I never like stole time from the company. It was, if I got off work, I would do a quote. You know, if my guys needed help, I would go out at night or on the weekends. So it wasn't like I was robbing Peter to pay Paul, you know. I was very honest. So when that happened, I said to my guys out in the field, one of my best friends, Chris, who kind of runs the operations at the time, I said, dude, I'm coming out there full time. And this is a big blessing from God to say, hey, like, I'll be honest, you can't leave 150, 170 on a good year plus bonus, or I'm sorry, plus stock. You can't just walk away from that, especially growing up from nothing. So they forced me out, and it was like, okay, this is time to really grab life by the nuts and let's get after it full time. So I jumped in, and here we are talking to you. I just came off a job site today. You know, and I'm hanging drywall and doing drywall mud today, and I'll be doing cabinetry in a couple of days. You know, it's a whole transition that people usually don't do, man, where people pray they can get an office job. But I thoroughly enjoy building stuff. And I just got this creative mind. I love seeing something at the end of the day and being proud of it, you know?
I think that is a common thread among a lot of entrepreneurs. I mean, I speak for myself. I can't speak for others, but I definitely have that impression. I'd love to hear about the transitions of people into a brand new space. Myself, I came from corporate world. Yeah, I can say I've been in construction for 20 plus years,
Right.
but in so many different degrees. I've been on the owner's rep side. I've been a regional manager for a commercial low voltage installation company. I've been a labor foreman in a wreck. You know, I've started a landscaping company during the residential housing crisis, and that was a bad decision. But I've been in that space, and ultimately it helped propel me into the executive kind of area in the startup world. And it sounds like we share that in common. And we both know that story about Vulcan, which I can now talk about since it's no longer Vulcan, it's another company. But
I've seen that.
I know you have some personal feelings about that.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit, but maybe that's for a secondary conversation. We'll reconvene at some point. Let the dust settle a little bit. But the transition from breaking sweat in the fields, literally as a landscaper, cutting trees, and all the way to executive in the corporate world, and then just being shit out the other side the tapered end of the turd that they just pinched off like that.
Yep.
I had to pivot, and I pivoted into a space that I'm totally unfamiliar with from the perspective of the niches. And I was fortunate in my path. I've got a hell of a partner, operating partner named Cloudy Whitehorn Vale, Cloudy W. Vale. And he comes from the restoration world. And so we've now booted up a company over the past year called Always Restoration and Construction down here in Texas.
I seen that, yeah.
And we focus on property damage. So
Are you guys focusing? That's what I was wondering. Are you guys focusing on more like insurance work and restoration? Because that's big up here.
Yeah. I mean, there's always a water leak. There's always a kitchen fire. Things happen, and it's a recession resilient sort of space to be in. From that perspective, because shit happens, floods, tornadoes down here. We have our certain demographics that we focus on. We're a little different than some of the storm chasers and insurance chasers. We have a little niche that we chase, and makes us a little special. But that's kind of the secret sauce, the KFC recipe here. But I wasn't familiar at all with restoration. I had started this podcast journey and started this acquisition journey well over a year ago, just trying to find something that I'm somewhat familiar with, which is construction, and something that I could mitigate the past business startup that I've tried during the housing crisis, and so
let me ask you something really quick. Sorry. So isn't it funny that like you and I, we grew up working on shit, right? And you think enough where it's like, hey, I can do this. And then when I jumped out there full time, I said, Jesus Christ, I got a lot to fucking learn. But guys like us too, like I think we process things differently. And what I mean by that is the guys I work with, the guys that there's a difference. There's guys in the trades, and there's guys that I have in my circle that are more corporate, where I feel like corporate guys to an extent are heavily recruited out of like either the sports world, or you've been mentally coached and trained where like denial. But it's I could take denial and it is what it is and keep moving, process the information, learn from it, don't beat myself up and go, you know what, let's Jocko says something. He says like recalibrate, right? Where a lot of these guys in this industry, they don't process rejection very well. They don't like when someone kind of gives them pointers or etc. And so I've leaned on, which is great. Like my partner Chris, I own the company, but like he's my right hand man. I learned so much construction from him that I thought I knew, but he's like, dude, you could do it better this way. And I'm like, well, fuck me. That makes a lot of sense. And so with him not coming from the corporate world, we really balance each other out. And that's what makes a good team is like, hey, dude, like if you get rejected at a sale that you're doing, who gives a shit? Like either ask them some open-ended questions and get through that and maybe close it. And if not, it is what it is. And so, dude, I know, like I follow you, right? And I know the struggles you've been through of, well, shit, this wasn't as easy, but then you have some wins and it's like, fuck yeah, let's celebrate them, brother, Yeah.
Minor victories, man. We survived by that. And that's, it's been an up and down path in our business. I mean, you always hear cash flow is king. Cash flow is the demise of most small business startups, and we've definitely gone down that route. And man, it's finally looking good. We went down the path of doing MCA loans. We went down the path of borrowing money from every nook and cranny and crook that's out there. But really what it's taken is a focus on accounts receivable, the fundamentals. And now we're at a point where we can actually get our minds stable enough to create a company culture that matters to employees.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, employees are why we're here.
Yep.
But it's a lot of pitfalls. I don't know what your path looked like when you first started up F1, but I'd be very interested in hearing like what were the big major pitfalls, what were the major victories. Does anything stand out to you, and have you carried that torch forward into either how you improve or how you repeat?
Yeah, so I just got done talking to the bank about this today, and not a lot of people know this. Some of my close friends, some not, but when I started F1, we signed a contract for like $310,000, and it was to renovate an entire home in this local area called Shaker Heights. Well, this specific area is very, very old. And when you do anything exterior, you have to go through an architectural review board. There's so many add-ons that I didn't account for. And I met this investor from Florida. I don't even remember how, but about 5-6 years ago, and it's still a thing. There was this process. Have you ever heard of it called the Burr effect?
The Burr effect?
Yeah. So real estate investors take these classes, and they essentially get brainwashed into like, you buy, you repair, you repeat. And what it is you buy, you buy a home, and it works, but they essentially want you to find a contractor that is dumb as a box of rocks on the business end and fuck yourself. So
and you have a house made of Band-Aids at the end that the contractor is going to come in and try to fix.
Yeah. And so you asked, my biggest downfall from the beginning, or like what I learned, that project that sticks out, was signed a contract, 310, get it done, all these stipulations. And we, coming into this industry kind of fresh, up here, and you probably down there, air conditioning is a fucking big impactor in the summer.
Yeah, it is.
So we got squeezed for like 30 some grand on AC.
Right. And I was going to say 310 right out of the chute sounds really good for one of your first big contracts as a startup too.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Right? Let's get it, right? Got life by the nuts here.
Yeah.
So we started getting squeezed on AC, and the house was on a slab. So essentially they had to build ductwork through the fucking closets, put an AC condenser or an AC unit up in the attic, bump everything down into the room. So at the end of the day, it was a clusterfuck. And I had two options. The one option was my partner Chris at the time, and he's still my guy, but he was like, hey, fuck it, walk away. We could either file bankruptcy, restart, or just say fuck this guy and it is what it is.
Yeah.
Or the other option was finish it and take on the debt. Yeah. And here is my toxic trait. My toxic trait is doing things right and living up to my name. And that's my toxic trait. Like, dude, my younger sister is an off and on addict. And like, I tell her all the time, like, you have my last name, you have our last name. And dude, I'm like that black sheep. I fucking did everything and nobody did nothing. But I know she can do something, right? And like, she has this potential. And I go, listen, like, you just tell people your fucking last name from me, and you do good things, and good things will happen. So that is my thing that I protect because I built it myself. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to put everything on credit, and I'm going to figure this project out. And dude, we were like 30, 40 grand over budget. And there's one of those sayings where like nobody's coming, right?
Yep. So
that sticks out to me because I met with Chase Bank today. For 5 years, we've been chasing this credit card debt. It's not like we're missing payments. We did about 700 in revenue last year, and I could profit so much more. if I wasn't paying all this interest every year? And it's like, it sucks because at the end of the day, I kept my pride, but I tell you what, I walked away with a fucking master's in pulling permits. It's one of the hardest places to do a project in Ohio, especially in this Cleveland area where I'm at. So it's like, if I could get through that and they were like, Dale, this house is great, like, we don't see projects like this. Well, fuck yeah, dude. Like, I paid 30 grand for an education, essentially, or 40 grand. So I met with Chase Bank today just to say, hey, stop fucking me on these interest rates. And so we're working on that because they're hitting me with like 30% on our credit cards. I put everything on a credit card to survive because we were new, you know?
It's fucking borderline criminal. It is criminal. It
is criminal.
Absolutely.
It is criminal.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, man, that's the one project that I really learned from was, I just learned from it, you know, and I wasn't going to let it fail. I wasn't going to walk away from this guy because I genuinely thought this guy was a great guy, and he is. Like, we don't talk to him anymore, but it wasn't because it was bad terms. I think he just realized whoever brainwashed him into believing, hey, you could make millions of dollars by doing this real estate game. Dude, it's not as easy as people make it seem. And so I also recognized at that point, we do medium or high-end homes now. I don't work with real investors, zero. You know, we just met one, and the guy has financial backing where he's like, hey, I'll pay you a little bit more because he doesn't have to come to the job site. Like, we're used to working with a budget on a kitchen of, you know, a low-end kitchen for us, 40 grand.
Yep.
And so a lot of these investors are like, Dale, you can't put 40 grand in a house. And I'm like, fuck no. Like, you want me to flip a whole house for 40 grand? Like, that's not possible. So that was my main setback. Of like, hey, if I learned something, that was it, man.
Yeah, we had a very similar one. It was about a third the size, but it was an investor, nice enough guy. You know, we like him personally.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, his model is to go into dilapidated old foreclosures and that kind of shit, and people died, and now the son or daughter is trying to sell it. And he's trying to take a budget of $100,000 on a $200,000 house and turn it into a $700,000 house or something like that, you know, with modern upgrades and all this good stuff. And I mean, just the finest of finest. And we tried to talk sense into him, and we told him, hey, look, man, just we're going to gut and replace at a very basic level. So if 100 grand is what you need, okay, 100 grand will buy you very, 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 very basic amenities. I mean,
like worse than builder grade, really.
Yeah, it's just gonna be. But he couldn't get out of his own way. He was always on the job site. Every Friday, we expected his call around 3 o'clock about a new change order. And ultimately, we had to fire him.
Was this the guy you posted and me and you talked about a little bit?
Yeah.
Keep going, because I'm glad we're sharing this, because I really wanted to hear the whole story.
No, I mean, so the background on that is he had already fired his first GC. She burned him for $20,000 allegedly. And then he approached us and said, hey, can you take over this project? You know, my budget was 120, now it's 100, because she ripped him off. And I was like, well, both of us were like, well, you know, even at 120, that was an aggressive kind of maneuver by that GC. Not sure this thing even started off on the right foot. But we'll see what we can do.
Yeah.
Here's the very specific scope that we will do, the very specific scope that we will do. And you're going to provide this, you're going to provide these materials, we're going to provide this labor, we'll run the permitting and all of that. And a third.
Really quick, how is permitting out? Are you just simply operating out of Texas?
So
like, how is permitting out there? Because a lot of people, it's very lax in Ohio.
It depends. It's municipal. So
okay, no, you are. So we are too. We're municipality. So we're not like a state. I don't have to take a state board as a general contractor. It's hey,
Yeah.
whatever the city requires. I like that. And that's good because, dude, it allows people to enter the market, let the homeowner dictate who they trust. I mean, that's the fucking free market.
Yeah. I mean, it's pay to play, give us your fee. We want your credit card number.
Yeah.
And prove that you have a certain level of general liability insurance. And
Yeah, same.
You're an actual company. You're not just some bullshit con artist. And that's pretty much it. But the cadence of actually applying for and receiving inspections and all of this stuff is much different municipality to municipality. So city of Austin, it's such a high growth area that like permitting is the crux of every builder's nightmares. It just takes forever. But this particular project was out in a different city, city south of Austin called New Braunfels. And New Braunfels is great. I mean, they're easy to work with.
Yeah.
You file for an inspection and within 24, 48 hours, you're getting it. Like,
and
it's still high growth. It's still high growth, but they just more streamlined and not as bogged down,
Yep.
But no, it's not bad. Specifically, what we've encountered recently is accounts receivable. We have a lot of commercial clients, and we got handcuffed by accounts receivable because we learned that.
Hold on, let me guess. Hold on.
Okay.
They keep a retainer?
No retainage. No retainage.
Okay.
No. In this case, it's the nuances of a contract. So it's, hey, Dale, we value our trade partners, and so we're going to offer you net 10 payment terms. Doesn't that sound great, Dale? Sounds great, right? And in exchange for that net 10, because typically we're going to do a net 90, we're just going to charge you a modest 1% fee for your net 10. And, early collection. If you want to take it to net 30, 0.5%, but if you want to go 60, 90, then we won't take a percent. But we're going to take, we're going to take a net 10 at 1%. And for us, it's like, man, that sounds great. 1%. Okay, fine. We'll take that.
So they're going to pay you 1% interest on waiting 10 days.
No. They're going to deduct 1% in order to pay us faster on the net 10. Typically, their typical terms are net 90.
Yeah.
So at net 90, we're just going to, if you bill us $100, we're going to pay you $100.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
But if you want us to pay you in 10 days, we'll pay you $99.
Okay.
Okay. That's fine. We can do that. So we signed up for that, and that sounded great. And they become a high volume customer. And they're a great customer from the perspective of their employees are nice to us. No one's screaming at us.
Yeah.
We're on the warranty team. And so it's not on the building side. It's on the post occupancy of a homeowner, so it's a large volume builder and we love it. I mean, the team itself is really good, but they're a huge company and highly bureaucratic, which is what drives those terms. What we did not realize is that net 10 means not net 10 when you invoice. It's net 10 upon approval.
Holy shit.
Net 10 upon approval means, well, it has to go to this customer service rep, who then passes it over to this representative, who then passes it up to a middle manager, who aggregates all of these things on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, maybe even monthly. We don't even know. And then on a monthly or weekly basis, that middle manager goes up to the executives, who then decide, along with finance, accounts payable, accounting, what they're going to pay, and ultimately maybe some of the invoices get approved. And then upon approval, it's net 10 from there. And so a net 10 turns into a net 90 pretty fucking quick. So
we could get buried in a month and a half, 3 months.
You get buried in a month and a half and 3 months, and it became an enormous strain on cash flow, like crippling for small business. I mean, I don't know, but it's the point is, how do you know a good customer from a bad customer, Dale? And how do you know when to walk away?
Great question. You brought up something earlier that I know for a fact you'll second guess this now, right? Is when somebody tells me, hey, I've had a couple contractors, I had to fire them. Well, I'm not going to be your third or fourth, right? So that's one. Two, I try to say, like, hey, what's your budget? And you said something earlier. I wanted to ask you, have you ever heard of the Contractor Fight Club?
I'm not sure.
Okay, so I don't know if it's still available on Facebook, but it's a great Facebook group that the guy is on like a bunch of commercials now that runs this thing. And I got kicked off of there simply because somebody's like, hey, does anybody have any contracts? And I was like, yeah, you could pay me for mine because it cost me $4 fucking grand. Like, it's based off of my law, and the guy was in Ohio. Like, I was like, hey, you get half off, you know? So essentially they kicked me off for charging, whatever. So anyways,
like they're buying your contract from you?
Well, yeah, because it's like 13 pages, and it's made to protect you from Ohio law specifically.
Oh, they're buying a document. They're not buying an actual contract.
Yeah, right. So somebody posted on this group that I learned a lot from. So I asked you because this guy taught me something, not like one-on-one, but based on everything I've been watching. It's called the bracket approach. So it's genius. You just got to remember it. If you're going into a kitchen, okay, this is one thing that I wish I would have learned back in the day is, hey guys, based on what I'm seeing, I could build you a $40,000 very basic bare bones kitchen. It's going to be with our stop cabinets. Or if you want the Taj Mahal at 60 grand based on your size, I'm going to give you something that looks like it's on the magazine. Does the 40 grand sound closer, or does the 60 grand? I didn't ask them for their budget. I gave them a bracket to put me in.
Yeah.
You know, and I ask people all the time, hey, like, and your question was like, how do you identify a bad customer? Is if you're not going to give me a budget, that's fine. Like, dude, I got my guards up too, and I fucking get it. But give me something, because I'm not going to give you, like, my labor doesn't change. And what I mean by that is, if you give me some MDF fucking trim to do on your door and baseboards, I'm going to do the same quality of work with poplar pre-primed on your fucking doors and baseboards. Like, my labor doesn't change, but you know what's going to change is that material cost. And so the big things that I wish I was out there doing more, but I'm in the field working, is like selling more, because that's kind of what I'm good at. Is, hey, like, there is a difference here between your products. And if you want a rental grade, or you want a grade that you're going to be in the next 30 years, you know, so those are like your worst customers. We did have a customer. You'll get a kick out of this. You always see this online. People put tape all over the walls.
What, for punch list?
Yeah. So I'm not lying when I tell you, I had a punch list. There had to have been over 500 pieces of tape. And I will tell you right now, like, my future child, this isn't even, like, there's no way, right? So I went online and I said, how do I like I don't even understand. So they said, identify the major issues, which I 100%, like, you're always going to miss something, dude. Sure. Especially in a big fucking project. Like, we flipped everything from tearing down wallpaper, which is a pain in the ass, to doing tile in the bathrooms. Like, this whole house was a gut and flip. And the little things I missed, I touched up, and they said, hey, fix the major issues, tear down the rest of the tape. And I did. So I probably fixed like, I don't know, like 5 or 6 things out of 500 pieces of tape. And they were like, fuck, you did a great job, you know? And it's like, no, you just are done being a cocksucker, you know? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I fixed the major things that caught your eye. So you got to look at those customers. Those are the worst customers. And then another customer is, I've learned this is we try to take not a large deposit, because I always ask, like, hey, like, what are, depending on if we have to order a bunch of material or not, right? Like, dude, if I got 15 grand in fucking cabinets, I'm taking that deposit from you.
Yes.
And if you don't like it, we're not signing this contract, because I'm not getting stuck with 15 grand in cabinets.
Yes.
What am I going to do? Ask my wife to decorate the fucking kitchen? You know,
Right.
like, so those are little identifiers that you could ask for. And then I've even done where, like, hey, once cabinets are delivered, pay me the other half of the cabinets, right? So like, maybe give me 7,500 up front.
Yep.
You're going to sign a contract. Boom. Great. And then once they get delivered, so we haven't touched anything, but you're paying for it. And yes, there's markup. Like this whole thing of, well, do you ever ask your mechanic? I think it's like, hey, if you got your alternator changed, you asking them what the cost was at the fucking store? You're not. Like, you're not. And so I know you figure this out because you're a smart guy. It's like, we get beat up so much on pricing, and I don't know where this bad stigma came from of, hey, can you break it down for me? Well, I've never broken down a fucking cheeseburger from McDonald's either. So, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
If you're so worried about my price, you know what you need to do? Go ask 2 other contractors what their price are. And then who do you trust? Don't look at the price. Do you trust Dale? Do you trust Chris? Do you trust our team? Do you trust our vision? Do you trust, go on our website? Do they have anything like that supports their price? If not, okay, like fuck them.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Let's talk employees and culture.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your interview process and how you navigate that. How do you solicit? How do you recruit? How do you retain?
Okay, another downfall I have is trades are different than corporate.
Yeah.
And you know that.
100%.
In trade, guys are chasing the dollar. Guys don't give a fuck about, hey, Dale, I see your vision in 2-3 years. It's very hard to do that. Dude, I waited 7.5 years to punch my fucking ticket, and I'm wealthy. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, I grounded my dick into the dirt for that pharmaceutical company for a long time because I believed in what they said. But I was thinking about this when I was driving today. How do I explain it to you and like share it to the world? And I hope people see this. Nobody's ever going to care about your business like you do.
Yep.
You need to accept that.
Yep.
Nobody's ever going to put in the hours you do, whether they're paid hourly or not, because when they walk away, they're not in debt or they're not succeeding, right? They got their paycheck. So when we do an interview process, initially, I used to bounce these ideas off of Chris because, you know, I talk about Chris a lot. Now I would love for you to meet him one day. He's a great fucking guy, but it's like he had that trade experience. And I was like, hey, man, like when I was in pharma and I was in professional sales, they'd be like, hey, dude, sell me this fucking pen.
Yeah.
I don't care how you sell it, but how do you approach it? And I wanted to go, hey, can we put together a test for these guys in the trades? Like, dude, frame me a wall in my garage. It doesn't even have to be big. Show me how you're going to put an electrical box in and then hang some drywall. Well, that's way too much for these guys. I mean, it's sad, you know, and so right now I say, hey, what's your experience? Can you show me some photos? And then when we get to that like in-person interview process, dude, I go back to my open sales questions. Is like, hey, like, walk me through this situation. Hey, if you got a leaking toilet, and here's the thing too, like I kind of train my guys all around. They're not a certified plumber, they're not a certified electrician, but if they're going to tell me they're going to fit within our scope of what we do, kitchen remodels, dude, walk me through relocating a fucking supply line for an icebox maker and a refrigerator. Like, I mean, just how you going to approach that if refrigerator's here and it's going to be on the other side of the kitchen? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah.
And so that's how I approach that. Did you ask about culture?
I did, but I'm stuck on this now. So we'll get to culture.
Yeah.
What about when you're looking, when you solicit for a position, you're not just saying, hey, I need a construction guy. You're soliciting for, rough carpenter, trim carpenter, apprentice, journeyman, master, whatever it is. You've obviously honed towards some type of skill set. What happens when someone looks really good on paper, they have good tenure in their background, and they probably have 5 to 8 different positions that they've held in the past.
Yeah.
And they show up, and when you start interviewing them, the conversation is kind of a stretch for them to get to. And they ultimately just say, I can do anything. You've met the guy. I can do anything.
Yeah.
Well, hey man, no, what I'm looking for is someone who can move that supply line of the fucking fridge and the ice maker and whatever, over this beam or through the fucking crawl space or whatever. How are you going to approach that? Well, I can do anything.
Yeah.
How do you approach that guy?
I had that guy, and he ran my company before I was out there for about 6 months. And we were in a pinch where he oversold us on a job. We were going to build a screened-in porch, and he oversold us on a job. He calls me. I'm living in Michigan at the time, doing pharmaceutical sales, and he calls me from Ohio.
In F1. Okay.
Yeah. Like not involved in F1 other than selling through my networking skills. And he's like, Dale, I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. And this is where, yeah.
Honesty is the best policy.
So I called Chris, and this is when Chris and I were dabbling with working together. He was doing his own thing during when the 08 market crashed. He was like getting work fed to him through the banks because the banks they didn't give a fuck. They just needed things. Hey, there's a ton of shit going on. We need it cleared of violations, And so Chris was like cleaning up on this, he was making 150, 200K a year because it was like, dude, he went to school for construction trades when he was in high school. So I called him. We used to race crotch rockets together. We were big race or crotch rocket guys. And I'm like, dude, I know you're in this. Like, can you come on board? And so it was kind of when the market started tapering off. So it's kind of like perfect timing. And he's like, hey, things are slowing down here. Yeah, I'll come on. So within like 3 weeks, he fucking took the company truck I bought this guy, started running my company. And so it's one of those you never really know. Like if you're early on in the industry and you really don't know, you'll take people's words for it. And then the only way you could even know is experience. And my tagline, right? Like the one I sent you is what I have on all of my stuff. It's like, lead by example, teach from experience. Is you can't teach a goddamn thing unless you've done it before. And so I'm always those guys that are like, hey, like this guy was saying he could do all those things, and then when it came time to do it, so you can't judge it. You really can't judge it unless you've done it. So there's all these private equity firms that buy companies, and they buy a company and they're like, hey, I could do this, and I'm going to change a bunch of things internally. I think it's very vital if they're going to do that, probably talk to the people internally that know what they're doing and then make those changes. So that was something that I really wish I would have done, is like, hey, like, can somebody read this guy better than me? Because he's full of fucking shit, like. So,
Yeah. Are y'all union up there?
we're not union.
You're not.
We're
union,
not union.
Is Ohio predominantly union?
No, it's actually a good mix. So commercial, majority of commercial is union.
Yeah.
I don't know one union company that does residential because they just don't pay enough. And I mean, all my buddies in the union make 40 plus an hour here.
Yeah.
But you know what they do? They also call me in the fucking winter when they get laid off, and they're like, "Hey, Dale, I know you're pretty busy all the time. You got something I could do?" And it's like,
yeah.
What about you guys?
No. No for our company, but union is not very prevalent.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's here, but it's just not. It's nothing like Michigan, auto workers or anything like that.
Oh yeah. So when I was, I'm in Ohio now, but when I was in Michigan, if you said anything anti-union, you might as well be hung on the fucking street corner,
Yeah, no, Texas is at will employment. I mean,
yeah, we're at will here in Ohio too. Wow, that's so weird. Like we are very similar.
Yeah. Tell me about your podcast. Why do you want to do a podcast? And who are you focused on?
So when I started thinking about this podcast, you got so many people that I guess like get famous by doing dumb, funny shit. And I've had so many people reach out to me when I post, and you may have seen them. I like to post like motivational videos.
You're usually driving.
I am.
Your windshield, and you're saying, "Hey, it's a hot fucking day out there. Just stay hydrated." And then you go off on this 10-minute tangent that just makes so much sense from the perspective.
Yeah, I look back on all the shit that I've done and learned, and a lot of it goes back to like college football or corporate America. And I'm like, hey, like this is how we're going to process this day and the problems. And I have so many people reach out to me, and I save them. I save them for motivation. And sadly, I save them for fucking people who doubt me and they go, Dale, your shit is dumb. And I go, you know what? These 3 people I've helped. And that's my big thing is like, I love helping people. My mom's toxic trait, and maybe this is where I get it from, is my mom will help people even though my mom doesn't have a pot to piss in. So it's like it puts her farther behind. Where me, man, I literally, like, my wife knows, like, my wife is a very quiet individual. She's not this guy. She would never do this, right? But she knows this is what I need. And if I could help 1 or 2 people with a podcast, you don't have to be a millionaire, right? Like so many people that are on the TikTok and YouTube, it's like, oh, I want to be like Mr. Beast, or I want to be like X, Y, and Z. And it's like, guys, do you really even know what you want? Like I said, like I've made it to a point where, dude, I got a sweet fucking car. It's at the shop right now, actually getting built for 1,000 horsepower. I build shit. I got a side-by-side. Like I got a truck that's paid for. To me, I've made it. I'm not a millionaire. I don't know, maybe in net worth, I'm pretty fucking wealthy, I guess. But like cash flow, I don't have $1 million sitting around, but you don't need that, right? And I want to help so many people that all my friends are in the same boat. Some of them left white collar America and went to blue collar. Some of them are still in white collar. Some of them are strictly in blue collar. But all these guys got so many great stories and lessons and failures. I'm a big person on failure. And I think that comes with understanding like where you learn the most, right? You learn when you fail. How do you get through life and all these wins? How are you going to coach somebody? What are you going to coach them on winning all the time? I don't think so. Like when I told you I lost 30, 40 grand doing that first time contract, it's like, dude, I walked away with so many lessons, and I just want to teach people. So if I could teach somebody along the way, I got a lot of friends. All of my friends are great dads. Do you have kids, Rich?
Yeah, couple, 2 daughters.
Yeah, man. So it's like, I'm 35. I feel fairly young, at least at heart. And all my friends are great dads. I think we need masculinity. I think we need good father figures. I think we need good husbands. I think we need good entrepreneurs. And I could teach it at a level that more people can relate to than a fucking millionaire. You know what I'm saying?
That makes a lot more sense now that you say the,
Yeah.
What was it? The best day is a sad day. What was your phrase? I'm trying to remember.
Which one?
For your podcast.
Oh, no. Saturday at Dale's. There's nothing better than a sad day.
There's nothing better than a sad
Wow, I didn't even think about that. You're right. There really
There's
isn't.
nothing
Like,
better than a sad day.
but that's true.
No,
like you learn
makes
in your
so much
saddest days.
Yes, you do.
And look at
Absolutely.
you. Look at you. That gets
Hey.
me excited because it kind of circles back to what I'm really about.
Well, it clicked, man. It clicked when I saw it a couple of days ago. It was like 3 days ago you posted it. It clicks, and I was like, "Holy shit, man! That sounds depressing." But then I started thinking about it. Wait a minute, no. Some of my best days have been the day after I have my worst day.
Yeah,
because I've gone through the rose bush, you know, and in fact, recently, just this past year, I've been dragged through some rose bushes. I don't know. It resonates. It resonates. So
that's awesome.
kudos on that. And I love the fact that your friends have said, it's a Saturday, but now it's more to a sad day.
Oh, that's a good one. It's a Saturday.
It's a Saturday.
I've been wanting to surprise the guys, and maybe they'll watch this. I hope they do, but I've been wanting to surprise them. I have a logo. I don't know if you've seen it online, but I'm having it made by a guy off of TikTok, and it's like a light box. But I want to get shirts now. I want to get shirts. Yeah, there's nothing better than a sadder day.
See, there you go.
Now, when I become a multimillionaire, don't worry. I'll send you a check for that for sure.
Asterisk disclaimer is Richard receives 1% royalty on anything proceeds.
I mean, 1% royalty on $1 billion is pretty fucking good in my math.
Yeah, I'll take that. All right, so you don't just own one business, and you're not just starting a podcast, but you've got other businesses or another business. It's a Bluebell Barn. Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's it.
So what's this? And tell me about all this.
I wanted to find time to spend time with my wife more and relate with her. And what I mean by that is, as a business owner, you are committed to that business. You're married to that business. It takes a lot of time. My wife is totally opposite of me in terms of like the ambitious outgoing, but how do I bridge those together, right? And some of the people I watch online and I look at, they have a great partner. And so when we were looking for property, our property used to be an old horse property. And I told her, it was one of those things where like, hey, I got all this money. I got to fucking park it somewhere. And so the goal was, and the plan was, hey, we're going to buy this property. We're going to take all the stock money that I had to cash out. We're going to invest it in a wedding venue. And you'll get a kick out of this, and hopefully everybody will too. But our local township put on Facebook, hey, we're looking for volunteers essentially to join the Board of Zoning and Appeals and all these things, just because we are a small township. So sure enough, raised my hand, did my interview, turned in my my paperwork, and I'm on the Board of Zoning and Appeals. Yeah. And so in my eyes, I'm learning a lot, right? Like I'm a big politics guy. People can hate me, but I'm a Trump guy. I'm a Republican, so I'm learning about just like what liberals are thinking, what Republicans are thinking, how we can help the community as a whole, like open up conversation. I'm learning about laws, and guess what? I learned to navigate the system, and I learned to navigate it as in like, we're going to break the law. I learned to navigate it legally. So we put this business plan together. We're going to be a winery at the end of the day.
Oh.
We bought 200 Sauvignon grapevines last year. We planted them. They're 3 years old when we bought them. So we're hoping next year they can produce grapes. We had to turn this business plan into the county to even get approved to build the building. So we didn't put the cart before the horse. We literally went to the county. Well, we went to the local township. We said, hey, this is what we want to do. They turned it into the county. The county, like the law team, reviewed our business plan that I put together. And they were like, yeah, it makes sense. Just make sure you follow what you said. And all my friends, it's so funny. Like, my job is not to, hey, guys, I'm going to present to you the business plan for the next 5 to 7 years of my life. They're like, Dale, why isn't the barn a winery yet? Why isn't this and that? And they're like, you said all these things. And I'm like, well, we got $6,000 invested in the winery or the vineyard. We got $400,000 invested in the barn. We got all this other money tied up everywhere. Like, Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yeah.
And it takes time. And my job's not to deliver that message. My job is to deliver that message to the county and the people who honestly are going to give us our licensing. Yeah. And so right now we had the county come out. They inspected it. We've had our first year. Honestly, we did one wedding and we were burning cash, right? Like, that happens as a business. And I was willing. I looked at, and this is something, if people are watching this, when you start a business, if you're going to burn money, you have to be able to afford to burn it. And so I looked at, okay, our mortgage is $2,200. Our truck is paid for. Her car is paid for, or her SUV is paid for. I don't have a lot of fucking debt. So can I afford $1,000 a month to keep this barn afloat? And I could, So we had one wedding the first year. We invested a couple thousand in doing a big wedding expo at our local, like, big expo center. And dude, it got us like 8 weddings.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
So not only did we wash, but I think we netted, I don't know, like $5,000 this year, right? So, like,
sure.
People don't understand how big of a deal that is.
It's huge
in the business world. It's huge, man. Like, I invested $400,000, but I can make all my fucking payments that are left, and I make $5,000 at the end of the year. Like, that's huge. And then you utilize that as an expense, right? You look at things that you're buying for the property to maintain it. I had to buy a commercial mower because, let's be honest, nobody's getting married on grass that looks like shit. So there's so many different things that you start pivoting towards, you start focusing on. And yeah, here we are, man. We have, I think, like 4 or 5 more weddings this year. We're doing a big fundraiser for flag football, which, dude, you know me, I played college ball. And I mean, whether it's football or baseball, if it's going to help the community, I think we charge, like, I don't know, $500, and we're going to have, like, dude, like 400 people here, like, just cover my lights on, and I'm going to be here working all night for you because I want to help the community. And in my eyes too, marketing, right? Everybody from the community is going to be here for pennies on the dollar to get their eyes on it. That's free marketing for me. So if I can help the community, make some marketing, and then, long term, this is our retirement, man, that was my plan, and we're sticking to it. And we got 5 weddings on the books next year. Plus, we haven't even done the expo yet, which we got 8 from last year. So that's where we're at.
What's your ultimate vision? So you have F1 contracting, you have Bluebell Barn. What's next? Or is there? And I want to caveat that with, maybe there doesn't have to be anything next.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just cap it. And I think we've talked about that before when I told you about our expansion strategy and stuff. And you mentioned, you know what? I just want to focus down and hone on the niche and be really fucking good at that. So are you, let me rephrase the question. In your vision, are you one of expansiveness, or are you one of dialing down and focusing in a very specific kind of space?
I'm very good at self-recognizing my problems, and like a lot of people aren't. I think that comes from honestly the corporate training and the good leaders I had. So I fell into something recently where I self-recognized you just got to stop fucking spreading yourself thin. Here's one of my toxic traits. I seen a TED talk a long time ago, and it was called a multi-potentialite. It's a really good TED talk, and my problem is I'd like to consider myself having a decent IQ, and so I learn things quickly, but I've learned things quickly because I'm not afraid to try things. So the more things you try, the more things you can apply to something new, right? So my problem is if I get decently good, I don't have to be the best, because my theory is if you're the best, you are kind of a psychopath and you're isolated, and that's fine. That's your motivation. My motivation is not being the best. My motivation is what tickles my fancy, right? So if I get decently good at something, all right, I'm good enough. I've hit this goal. Like, what's the next goal in line? And so F1 contracting is doing pretty decent. Now we're growing vertically with that. And what I mean vertically is we're staying within contracting, right? Like we're really good at residential. Now we're moving on to we're commercial. So we're keeping our commercial, or we're keeping our residential division. We're going on to commercial. I've made some contacts. We're bidding on a job now. Nothing crazy, but it's this guy that I've linked up with. He's a property manager for like, I don't know, like a bunch of commercial places in the area. And I feel really comfortable in there's something called white boxing an environment, like white boxing a commercial space. Very cosmetic, maybe moving some walls, nothing structural. We're okay with that.
Yeah.
So I want to stay within that. My future there at F1 is, dude, I like leading young men. Yeah, if we hire a girl, sweet, I'm going to lead her too. I want to develop people. And we went off-roading recently in West Virginia, and our electrician was like, why don't you guys sub more work? And I was like, dude, you just, you don't know me enough to know, like, I've made the fucking money that made me happy, brother. You know what motivates me? We got a kid right now. His name's Kyle, and I hope he sees this. He's like, dude, I got an offer from the union for $28 an hour and health insurance. I said, fuck it. We're going to match that shit. We're going to match it because I want you to stay, because I'm not done developing him as a young man. He's 24, and I feel like I got work to do, and it's not even on the financial side. Like, dude, I'd love for you to buy a house under me, right? Like I help provide that.
Yeah.
But I got so many lessons to teach you. I don't have kids yet. We're pregnant, by the way, our first one. So I didn't announce that.
Hey, congratulations.
Thank you, man. Thank you. So it's like I see every guy that works for me, whether he's older or younger, like, hey, I can mentor him in some way. Yeah. So that's kind of what drives me at F1. The Blue Belt Barn is our retirement, but I really see us being open on like a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday as a winery. Very blue collar, where you don't need to dress up in your polo or your button up. Hey, we're in the middle of fucking nowhere. Come have a couple bottles of wine, have some good, like, we can't cater food. I mean, we can't make food here. We can cater it. So our long-term goal is, this is our retirement. If we could be open on a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, have a wedding on a Saturday, that's what we want to do. And then I fell into a trap recently where I bought all this commercial equipment for landscaping. Dude, I bought the website. I bought it. So this is my thing. I got a landscaping company coming. It's called Big Acres Landscaping. And I got the trailer and everything. I literally have everything. I got the website I'm working on, but it's one of those, you know what? I caught myself. Like I said, I was self-aware, and I said, dude, I'm getting too excited about shit because I like starting stuff. I like the creativity. But F1 right now is dabbling in commercial, and it's like, man, I could just hyper focus on that for a while. we still have the commercial equipment around because we have to make it nice for weddings. But as long as I'm within 3 years, my accountant, he said, "Hey, Dale, dude, as long as you're within 3 years of starting this thing and you got a plan, you're fine. You could use write-offs." And I don't ever want to, cheat the tax man. And I feel like I got to do things right. So maybe give it another year. We're going to have Big Acres landscaping going. But yeah, those are my plans. Lindsay and I are going to retire with the barn. It's right on our property. We can make probably 10 grand a month on it when it's all said and done. And that's more than your 401k is going to pay across the board. And it's like that dude, I'm content with that,
Well, and let's get creative. Big Acres Landscaping
Mm-hmm.
gets the contract for Bluebell Barn,
Mm-hmm.
right? And also gets the master service agreement for F1 contracting. And so now you're circulating your own money amongst your own groups and building the repertoire. And you've established the LLCs or whatever structure
Yep.
they are with some sort of bookkeeping going along the way to establish a paper path down the road to manifest whatever kind of financial horizon you might want to try to envision out of that. One thing my partner is really good at is thinking outside of the box, but within the regulations. And how much can we get away with legally that also feeds us and feeds our partners, and we keep this thing in a sort of nebula.
Yeah. You're creating a universe for yourself.
You're creating a universe. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. Love your vision, man. One thing you quoted recently was failure is inevitable. Winners recalibrate and try again.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
How do I simplify it? Don't be afraid to fail, right? I think, there's this guy named Alex Hermosi. I don't know if you know him, and some people are like, it's funny because business guys like you and I, we get what he's saying, and other people say, "Oh, he's a scam." No, you need to take the words for what they are. And I'm
And
okay
he's not just a breathe strip over the nose and a big beard.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, right.
Actual human being who has been there and done that, and he's given us advice.
Repeat what you just said, because I want to make it good, and I want to simplify it.
Failure is inevitable. Winners recalibrate and try again.
All right, I'm gonna go here. Here's what I'll tell you. When I lost all that money, all right, so I lost a lot of money, which we haven't talked about, not even in Volcon. There's two places I lost a lot of money. And when I talk a lot of money, like some people panic on 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000. Guys, that's a fucking walk in the park for me. And what I mean by that is I invested in this company called KPTI. I really seen the way they were structured, and initially I was comparing them to the company I was with, which I'll tell you now is Horizon Therapeutics. It was started as Horizon Pharmaceuticals. And I said, wow, they're really putting people in place and doing a hiring push. I really believe in them. I think I invested like 150K. When I left Horizon Therapeutics and they forced me out, I don't know, I had 400 or 500 grand to play with. I paid 150 to the fucking man, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
And, in my head, I said, I'm young. I could recoup the loss. But if I fucking make it, I will buy a goddamn helicopter and I will fly over every one of my friends and I will pick them up. You know, so it's like you're either gonna make it or break it.
Yeah.
So the big thing I learned along that is they essentially tanked. And I lost a lot of money. You can't make it back, but I've learned it's very hard for me to work with people and trust people with my money, right? I also learned politically, and people could be mad or not, when Biden pumped trillions of dollars into the economy and giving people money, and everybody was like, hey, I could buy Amazon. People don't realize, but the separation between average middle Americans and the big corporations, that separation got huge.
Yeah.
The billionaires made, or let's say this, the millionaires made billions and us peons made fucking nothing. We lost.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things that I learned from. So you have to be aware of that. Two, nobody outside my circle knows this. All right, when we were building the wedding barn, okay, I ran out of money at a time. I bought a house for my mom years ago, and that's another thing we didn't talk about. I bought my mom a house. My mom didn't have a pot to piss in. I put a down payment down. I said, hey, Mom, you made the mortgage. Like, it's fine. Well, I knew what I was doing. I always have a future plan. Nobody gets a leg up on me. I try to think. And I took not a second mortgage. I did a cash out refi on this house to finish the barn construction. Okay, so when I did cash out refi, I bought the house for $140K. I put 20% down. My mom's paying $1,200 a month on a beautiful house on a river. No fucking deal. Well, I got it approved and appraised for $350 after I just bought it for $140 a couple years ago. So I borrowed a bunch of money from it. I also had stock. So I'm selling stock. I'm using this money. And dude, I'm burning cash building this wedding barn. At this time, I literally, boom, poof, ran out of money. I looked to my wife. My wife came from a decent family, not wealthy. And I said, baby, like, I don't know what to fucking do. We got to pay for our wedding. We got to build this barn. And she looks at me, and dude, I will take this to my fucking grave. She literally said, we've made it this far. Why would you think we're not going to make it? We will figure it out. And she's not like me. You know what I'm saying? Like she's not going to get in the fucking dirt. I thought, and I'm marrying this woman. I thought that, dude, she got in the fucking dirt, right? So here is
beautiful.
So here's the caveat that I just thought about this today when I was going to hop on a call with you. At this time, I still had about $150K left in stock. But also, that was me and my wife's safety cushion of shit hits the fan. This is what we need to finish the wedding and the barn, blah, blah, blah. She's like, don't worry about it. What do we need? And I said, well, we need an ice maker. We need a commercial fridge. Like, we were building this to be commercial because our goal long-term is a business.
Yeah.
She starts burning this money. I don't know where she's getting it from. I'm not asking for it. She's buying this commercial fridge. I mean, she dropped a lot of fucking money. We're not talking 5, 10s, 20. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's dropping a lot of money into what we need left. And so we get married, and here's the kicker. We are on what is it called? My best friend got married 2 weeks after me in Punta Cana. We're there at the wedding. His sister does financing, and my wife, of all people, goes, hey, maybe we should do a debt consolidation loan. And I go, baby. I said, I mean, my credit cards are fine. We cashed out the stock. Like, you gave me what we needed. Like, we're in the clear.
Yeah.
Nothing happens. So then about 2 or 3 weeks go by. She goes, baby, we need to talk about this debt consolidation. I go, okay, what happened? Every fucking dollar she gave me that I thought, like, when she, and she didn't give it to me physically. She said, hey, what do you need? I'm going to buy it. It was through credit.
Hmm.
Even though I was making quadruple of what my wife was making when I was in the corporate world, this is when you said predatory earlier, dude, I've seen it.
Mhm.
My wife was making the minimum payments on her fucking credit cards for the last 5 years before I met her.
Yeah.
She had 140 grand in debt, Rich.
Oh.
Yeah, 140 grand. And so I go, okay. I contacted my lawyer. I contacted my accountant. And it wasn't about divorce. I loved her. And I literally thought about that moment of, she looked at me and she said, we'll figure it the fuck out.
Yeah.
Because she knew I literally gave up every penny I had to build this future for us. And so all these millionaires, think about it when they ask them, dude, have you ever been broke? Fuck yeah, I've been broke, dude. I've been fucking broke. Dude, my credit was down to like 600 during this time. And it was like, I was on the bare bottom. And so I was able, so when we bought this house at 440, I put 100,000 down and our mortgage was $2,200. Well, I was able to pull a second mortgage out of this fucking house.
Yeah.
And I hate to admit that, but like we don't struggle for bills now because that second mortgage really kind of like, she was paying like $6,000 a month in fucking credit card bills. My wife doesn't even make that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So when you want to talk about things that like what really like made you laser focused, and I looked at it, I go, okay, I could do two things. I could divorce her right now and call it quits and you figure it the fuck out. Or I go, you know what? She helped me through my tough time and my belief, which, dude, she didn't think about the barn. That was my idea. And so called my accountant. I called my lawyer. I said, where are we at with this? What do we got to do? Essentially, what we did was we consolidated the debt. I didn't have any debt to my name. We got a second mortgage on our fucking house that's now worth like $750,000. They gave us a loan. We paid off her debt. I pay an extra $1,800 a month. Like, but I don't have any other fucking bills, you know? So it's like, dude, I hope people watch this to the end or at least fast forward this or clip this, but it's like, dude, I fucking been broke. 600 credit score. My wife was like, we got to reconsolidate debt. I don't understand why. And instead of panicking, which I know so many people panic in a situation like this. And I'm like, let's process it. I'm not an idiot. I can figure this out. And I loved her every day since she told me. And I loved her every day after. And she's my best friend. And now she's like running the fucking barn business, which is pumping about $6,000 a month. It's like, we're not printing money, but guess what? In the next 2 years, we're going to fucking print money and I could give a fuck less what people think about me at my lowest time, you know? So we went from that to this conversation. So man, I don't know. I've learned so much. Just, dude, my wife's not an emotional person, but dude, I could speak volumes about me processing that, dealing with it, her sticking on board. Well, shit, me sticking on board down to him. And where we're at now. I mean, we have a ceremony going on tomorrow. So when I get off the phone with you, I know I got to wake up early. I got to cut the grass in the morning. We got to set up 90 chairs by the pond. And people are getting married, dude. Like, you know, that's it. So
yeah. Let's pitch your businesses. Take us down the line, each of your businesses and also your podcast. Give us the pitch. And how do people contact you? How do people engage?
F1 Contracting is f1contractors.com. If you need residential or commercial building in the Cleveland and Medina area, f1contractors.com. thebluebellbarn.com. And that is for any, you know, if you want a reception, if you want a ceremony, if you want both, we offer that. We're going to be obviously a long-term standing winery in the Medina area. And then the podcast is going to be The Sad Podcast. We haven't nailed or dialed in an essential like YouTube or anything. And you know, how YouTubes go or podcasting goes. I'm troubleshooting a lot of issues right now with either overheating cameras, which I figured that out, but literally finding a YouTube channel that I don't have S.A.D. blah blah blah. So I'm trying to figure that out and navigate that. But it's going to be the SAD podcast. You can find me, just Google my name, Dale Perkowski. You can find a bunch of stuff on me, and I'm going to tag that with the SAD podcast. So
that's what I'm talking about, brother. Hey, man, I really appreciate you getting online with me tonight. I've appreciated our conversations in the past, and I look forward to our conversations in the future.
Yes, sir. Thanks, brother.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So this episode is brought to you by Talon Services of Great Falls, Montana, for all of your residential and commercial needs. We are urgently hiring for skilled HVAC, plumbing, and electrical journeymen and masters. Email CVAIL, CVAIL, at talonph.com, TALONPH.com for more information.